But first, we're following this major breaking news story. Carmelo Anthony will not be granted a new trial. The 19-year-old convicted of stabbing and killing another student at a track meet will not get a new day in court. Sources tell NewsNation Anthony's murder conviction in the death of Austin Metcalf will remain in place. The judge just released a statement moments ago saying this, quote, "We respect and expected the court's decision denying the motion for a new trial. The jury's guilty verdict stands, and we remain confident in the process. Every defendant has the right to appeal, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the Metcalf family in the painful wake of last week's hearing." We have a lot to unpack tonight, folks. Joining me now to discuss is a criminal defense attorney who is no stranger to high-profile cases. We're talking about Mark Geragos. He's represented many big names in court. That includes Sean Diddy Combs, the Menendez brothers, Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, Colin Kaepernick, Hunter Biden, and so many more. And we're so grateful to have him tonight. Mark, welcome back.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm great, better now. NewsNation sources have confirmed that Carmelo Anthony's appeal for a new trial has been denied. I wanted to ask you about your initial thoughts when we heard the news just moments ago.
Well, I saw the order that was issued by the new judge. The judge who presided over the trial was recused. As expected, he did an interview, and that was the end of his presiding over this case. This is not unexpected, given what happened earlier this week when the text messages that were released that apparently weren't used during the trial came out, and it was not helpful to this young man, to the accused or now convicted. And I think where they're headed with this new legal team is they lost the motion for new trial, but it becomes apparent to me they're now going to probably focus in on ineffective assistance of counsel of the trial lawyer in this case. And I think that's the newest tack that the newest legal team is going to take.
Yeah, we're hearing about details of a secret gentleman's agreement between the prosecution and the defense that came to light. The two parties agreeing to keep both details about Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf's characters out of the trial, including allegations of racism, violence, bullying. Metcalf's own father wasn't even aware of the deal. Here's what he told NewsNation's Chris Cuomo this week, Mark.
And to sit there and watch my son be dragged through the mud again today, the same stuff that was said for 14 months. If you want to try to assassinate character, do what you think is right. But at the end of the day, the facts are very simple. He stabbed an unarmed child to death.
We want to remind the viewers the defense and the prosecution said this case was not about race. Both families received harassment as this trial went on. Mark, do you think race played a factor, at least in the courtroom?
Well, as I often say, race permeates everything in American criminal justice system. So I don't think that there's any way that you could say this is the exception to that, given the composition of the jury, given the conducting of the a so-called gentleman's agreement and everything else. I think that part of the problem with this case, with this kind of interest, it should have been televised. I think the judge, even who later was recused, admitted in his interview that a lot of the conspiracy theories around this case were because nobody saw what actually happened in the courtroom.
All right, with the time we have left, Mark, I want to move to Lindsay Clancy. You and I have talked about this case before. The defense just rested their case. This case is likely coming to a close. You've said you think the jury will side with Clancy. What did the defense do so effectively to win over this jury?
So she is very ably represented by Kevin Reddington, but in this case, and I don't mean this as to slight Mr. Reddington, the prosecution has just been tone deaf, and I would be shocked if the jury comes back with what the theory or buying into the theory that the prosecution has articulated here. This whole idea and the kind of the conduct of the prosecution has just been beneath them, and I just don't think the jury is going to hate this woman, which is what they assume by their conduct. I think the jury is going to probably find somewhere in the middle, not find criminal liability, so to speak, but also she's not going to be acquitted.
If Clancy is found not criminally responsible, what precedent, if any, does that set for future cases involving postpartum psychosis?
Well, I think part of what you've seen in this case is the system has absolutely failed, and it always does in these cases. We don't have the criminal justice system is not good when you have to kind of inject the psychiatric element into it. Part of the problem is, and I also resist saying this, but it's true, it's fully 80% of the cases that come through the criminal justice system revolve around challenges to mental health. And the system is not designed for it. It's not designed or equipped for it. You'll see it in some of the other cases that you and I talk about, but this has been, I think, a stark lesson that the system failed this woman, this family, and the lone survivor who was the husband.
It's such a heartbreaking case from beginning to end. Mark Geragos, we always appreciate your time. We'll see you soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.